بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. Maqasid Al-Sharia, and starting today inshaAllah ta'ala the chapter about Maratib Al-Wazi'. Maratib Al-Wazi', page 208. One of the most important element and aspect in implementing the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the fact for the Sharia to be respected, venerated. Because if there's no this what we call al-waza, he called it here in English, qala invokes, inborn, al-wazi'u is kind of restrained waza. Al-wazi'u is like, he didn't say here. Al-wazi'u is that the thing in ourself that commanding you to do it. You know, what factor make you to respect your parents? There's waza, things that inside you kind of dictate, on you to have that respect, to have the haya. That we call it waza. That power who's, driving you to do good, it has that waza. So a reason, a drive. The drivers are three. There's al-wazi'u, let's call it waza as in Arabic. Al-jibilli, wal-wazi'u ad-dini, wal-wazi'u as-sultani. Al-wazi'u al-jibilli, the natural, the self-restraint, the something that comes from our nature, natural disposition, inner nature, that he called here, self-restraint, waza. And then there's al-waza ad-dini, the waza that is the spiritual, religious one, originating from your belief, from your way of belief. Then there's al-waza al-sultani. Al-waza al-sultani is this drive of respecting and obeying, comes by sultan. Sultan is the governing. Because without venerating the Sharia, how are you going to help people to implement the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Therefore, these in Maqasid al-Sharia to learn what are the waza that the Sharia, implemented for, the legislator implemented for the Sharia to be venerated, respected, and fulfilled. Because anything that doesn't have respect and veneration in the heart of the people, it will be neglected. قال وما هو بقول شاعر قليلا ما يؤمنون صح ولا بقول كاهن قليلا ما يذكرون. It's not the saying of a poet that they don't believe. Really they believe it. Why? Because they like the rhyme of the poetry, but they don't respect the poet or his words. Or a kahin, a monk, or a kahin like a fortune teller, when he says something, قَلِيلًا مَا يَذَّكَّرُونَ, they don't recall after. After he says, they don't recall it. But this is the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the Quran. It's different. فقال واحترامي في نفوس الناس أنواع الوزع الذي يزع النفوس عن التهاون بحدود الله. يزع is like he hold, reprimand, and in a way have that respect, fear, to not people violate the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فاعتمدت في ذلك ابتداء على الوازع الجبلي. So we have that وازع, that drive which is embedded in the inner nature. So when you have this وازع جبلي, you find the spirit of the Sharia will not, for example, take a lot of text to tell you things that by nature you abhor, by nature you keep yourself away. Example, the benefit of al-iqtitat, to get and seek for provision. You know, you don't find like, you know, Sharia or like a lot of in the Quran to you have to go and work. It's by nature people, they do it. Wal-libas, about clothing, it's by nature people, they do it. وَحِفْظُ النَّسْلِ is to protect your honor, the progeny, protect the spouses, protect the family. قال فلا تجد في الشريعة وصايا لحفظ الأزواج لأنه في الجبلة. You don't find a lot in the Sharia like commands to protect each other as spouses, you know, caring about you know, each other. That is in nature. I mean, they get married because they are close to each other and everything. But then when it comes to, for example, part of there's, you know, problem and separation, the Sharia comes to solve it in al-ma'ruf. But before that, his part is like, يَسْكُنُ إِلَيْهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, they dwell to each other. هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُنَّ. To come Sharia to tell you, you have to do this, and you have to be careful, that is part of the jibillah. Part of the الجبلة. إذا كانت الزوجة كافية كما قال عمرو بن كلثوم إلى آخره. قالت وقلت في الشريعة الوصايا بحفظ الأبناء. You don't find in the Sharia a lot of وصايا, you know, commands in protecting the children or taking care of the children, because it's natural. إلا في أحوال عرضت للعرب من التفريط فيما كانوا فعلوا في الوقت. Except in very special cases, as has been committed by the Arabs, you know, in the Wa'd al-Banat, to bury the females. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about that, because something was, you know, very terrifying, but it's been done. But the rest, you don't find in the Sharia, you know, tell you to take care of your kids, or what happened in previous societies where they killed their children because of fear of poverty. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specified that and prohibited, and saying that the children, they don't have nothing to do with the provision, is Allah is the provider. Here he's saying, قال, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, also, he's saying, similarly, it has dealt with the prohibition of marrying one's mother-in-law or one's stepdaughter. Now here, you find the Sharia, you know, introduce laws to protect the society, to protect the household. فقال, for example, in this case, by likening the step-parents of the husband and wife to their natural parents. The Sharia has attached the relationship by marriage, الصهر, to lineage, nasab, as means of transforming self-restraint against committing adultery. So, subhanallah, الصهر, the parents-in-law, they become like their own parents. يقول فخر الدين الرازي in the sharh of the ayah when he said حرمت عليكم أمهاتكم قال من تزوج امرأة whoever who marry a woman if فلو لم يدخل على المرأة أبو الرجل so if we say the father-in-law and the son-in-law are you know they have the marriage will not change the relation, you know, doesn't change the status in the relation. So if the father-in-law and the son-in-law are still, you know, they are not, you know, they are stranger, non-mahram. And for the side of the man, the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law are non-mahram. They're gonna be live in, especially the woman, she cannot see her mother, you know, because it's haram for you know, I mean, there's no, this hurma is not, suppose this hurma is not existing. So he said, Fakhruddin Razi is like, we put a woman in a prison. So his parents, you know, dhukur male, they cannot be in the house. And her mother and her daughter, she cannot be in the house because they are, you know, non-mahram to each other. So, and the Sharia, as I'm going to read it and explain it, قال لبقيت المرأة كالمحبوسة في البيت ولا تعطل على الزوج والزوجة أكثر المصالح. Then it's like you freezing the whole social relation within a household, with the family. ولو أذنا في هذا الدخول ولم نحكم بالمحرمية. But if we give the permission to everyone, they can visit each other and be together, and we didn't add, and there's no the hukum of mahramiyya, so they still stranger to each other. فربما امتدت أعين البعض إلى البعض وحصل الميل. So they will be might, you know, looking, you know, with lowering the gaze. So it might lead to فاحشة. لأن صدور الإيذاء عن الأقارب أقوى وقعا شدا إلاما وتأثيرا. قال وعند حصول التزوج بأمها أو ابنتها تحصل النفرة الشديدة بينهن فيحصل إلى آخره. أما إذا حصلت المحرمية هي فقد انقطعت الأطماع فلا يحصل ذلك الضرر. When you make them haram, so whatever the shaitan can have to work on it, you lock and close that door. I mean, the daughter-in-law, or like the stepdaughter, she becomes his own daughter. Subhanallah, it changed the whole thing. This is like your daughter. This is like your son. That lady, the mother-in-law, is like your mother. And then to have that, this is what you call jibil al-waza' al-dini, waza' dini. A drive came by the law of the Sharia. But a drive, this waza', this power, to direct by the way of the Sharia, turn to be natural. Because becomes when you say, for example, your mother, you have to respect her from the depth of your heart. There's a new one coming in the family because this one is like your mother. So we use that inner nature, that drive you have in the inner nature, already you have it, to copy it on a newcomer inside of the family because of this contract of marriage. So you protect, subhanallah, the purity of the household from being extended to something very close that they can cause, you know, darar or harm to the society, to the family. Subhanallah, and Allah knows how terrifying and bad this consequence or these things can lead. فقال فثبت أن المقصود من حكم الشرع بهذه المحرمية السعي في تقرير الاتصال بين الحاصل بين الزوجين. ثم he's saying وقد يزاد على ما ذكره الفخر أن الشارع قصد قلب ذريعة الزنا المتوقع من شدة المخالطة إلى نثرة باستخدام الوازع الجبلي. So it's like the Sharia here intending by the risk to lead to action, evil action like adultery, to replace it, that it might have an attraction there, to replace it with something like, instead an attraction, it becomes like repulsing. You put waza jibili, you put there the seed of the drive which is natural drive. So for example, someone, he has, there's a lady or her daughter. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if you marry the lady, the daughter become haram on you. She's not haram on you as long as you didn't marry the daughter. He decided to marry the lady, the mother. Now, after, it's going to become in the house and everything, if the daughter is not haram, he might have think you're going to say, oh, I wish I married the daughter. But now she's not haram, so think the shaitan can build the relation over there and nest, wal-iyadu billah, of evil. Now when you come to the hukum, you add the hukum, he said, if you marry this lady, her daughter has become like your daughter. It's going to become your daughter. Then, as soon as the contract, you are pouring compassion in the heart of the person to look at this girl as his own daughter. So you erase not only the attraction, the thought of anything that lead to haram. See the spirit of the law in the Sharia? So he using the action of the deen to turn it to be natural in the nature. And this is, subhanallah, the way how to respect and to venerate the law of the Sharia is one of the examples. قال وليس من العسير قلب الوازع الديني إلى وازع جبلي بالتحذير من العقاب وبث التشنيع في العادة. And it's not really for the Sharia, it's not difficult to change the drive al-waza ad-dini, the religious waza, to become waza jibili, to become part of your nature, part of the habit, of the tradition. You don't think of it as a law. You think it as something natural. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He surrounded and protected with iqab, with the punishment if you violate it. Surrounded by threatening. Therefore it becomes something natural in the person. He gives us an example. فقال فإن كثيرا من الأمور التي تظهر في صورة الجبليات ما كانت إلا تعاليم دينية. Many of the action that we do, or many of the matters in our life that looks like natural, but in reality they were a religious command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Give us example. Covering the awrah is natural, becomes, but in reality it comes, subhanallah, that sense of modesty, that sense of shyness, and then become covering the awrah is part of the nature. And you can see it, subhanallah, from faith to other, from the community. When you go, people, subhanallah, this part is the work of the shaitan. محرمية الآباء والأبناء. محرمية, like al-aba wal-abna, how they are, like the haram between them, at the example that we mentioned. It becomes like natural, but in reality, in the beginning it was a deen, a command from the deen. For example, someone is haram to marry his aunt. when you look at it, you don't even think about it because it's a natural. But when you see the end, that to keep the unity of the household is, subhanallah, that's in the level of your mother or the level of your father. How can you do such a thing? How can you, this is a person that you need to venerate and respect as your father or your mother, then you turn to be, have intimate relation. It's like you break in the whole, that, veneration from above. So you break in the whole, subhanallah, heart and core of the family. So to protect it, this level who are the elder cannot come down here to have any relation. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did that mahrami. And those are family, they can come and visit each other and everything. Someone aunt is sick and very close to him when he was young. No, she's like a stranger, non-mahram on him. He cannot visit her. This has killed the relation, the kinship. So I said, no, she's a mahram, she's like your mother. And so on. I mean, in Islam, even the breastfeeding for young, a lady to a baby, it becomes like her son. To see, subhanallah, how in that unity and having a more flexibility in safeguarding the relation, the traditional relation between families, and help them to be united and have this cohesion in the same time, while respecting and being protected from evil. So, for example, this person become your mother because you've been suckled, or because someone marry her daughter. So then you're extending the family by protecting the purity by these laws of mahrami. قال وقد نجد مباحات مذمومة يتنزه الناس عنها لمذمتها. And you find things that are lawful, but people, they really disgrace it. Why? Because it's evil, is bad in its own self. But people, they don't care and they do it. He given us an example. In Jahiliyyah, they used to, in Jahiliyyah, it's permissible for a son to marry the wife of his deceased father. She's not his mother, but the wife. But what they used to call it, nikahul maqt, the marriage of wrath. So they know he's bad, but they do it anyway. I mean, if they worship idols, nikahul maqt. Here, this is in. طيب. قال ولعلماء الشريعة نسج على منوالها هذا عند قصد المبالغة في سد الذريعة. And the ulama of the Sharia, they adopt this path when they want to overdo sadd al-dhari'ah. Sadd al-dhari'ah, as we studied, is to block the path to an evil. By making things lawful, making things mubahat, to make them prohibited. There's a road that it has a problem. At the end of the road, there's a big ditch. So what they do, they come before, maybe quarter a mile or something, they say like road closed. So to avoid the risk for anyone will be driving, will fall in that ditch and he get an accident and he die. So the Sharia make the Sadd al-Dhari'a, this roadblock, before to get to where someone is going to be hurt. Driving on that road is lawful, is not going to cause you any damage. But we put the roadblock because after that, that's when you're going to get hurt. So, Sadd al-Dhari'a is to block the road and make the lawful haram. So, in some cases, the scholar, they overdo, the Sadd al-Dhari'a, because the end of the road is very threatening and evil. فقد قال مالك رحمه الله بنجاسة عين الخمر وهو يعلم أن الله إنما نهى عن شربها لا عن التلطخ بها ولكنه حصل له من استقراء السنة ما أفاده مراعاة قصد الشارع الانكفاف عن شربها. He said, Al-Imam Malik, he's saying that khamr, the wine, is impure. Impure. The khamr itself is impure. He said, while he's knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make the drinking of the wine haram, he didn't say, put the wine on your clothes is haram. When you say Ainul Khamr, the Ainul Khamr, the wine itself is impure, which means when you touch the wine, is impure. When the wine gets onto your clothes, is impure. You have to clean it. You cannot pray in it. So the scholar, Al-Imam Malik, said that's impure. But knowing that what is haram is not to put your, nobody is going to have alcohol on his clothes. But he's saying just to emphasize and push away anyone who think to drink it. So the drinking is haram. Let's put extra roadblocks to not get to that haram. Then he said the khamr, the drinking is haram, and the khamr is also impure itself. Because many of the scholars, in reality, it has ma'nawiyya, the najasa ma'nawiyya. The impurity is more spiritual, is intangible, not the tangible one. If how can you have rub and alcohol to pour it on your body when someone has wound of things? قال ولكنه حصل له من استقراء السنة ما أفاده مراعاة قصد الشريعة الانكفاف عن شربها وإذا كان ذلك عسرا لشدة ميل النفوس إليها بكثرة ما نوه الشاربون بمحاسن رقتها ولونها أرادت السنة تقوية الوازع الديني عن شربها بإشراب النفوس معنى قذارتها وجعلها كالنجاسات. So when he studied and he went down into the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, he find that the Sharia talk about the khamr as a najasa. When you talk about something is unclean, dirty, impure, what is going to happen to the nafs? To hate it. So if you hate something, how can you drink it? Now, this action done opposing another action. What was the other action? The other action, all the poems that they have in Jahiliyyah about khamr. They talk about the beauty of the wine and the color and glittering in the glass. So someone, when he reads those poems, he becomes drooling. So the Sharia comes to say, is dirty, is najas, is. So pushing that what they have from, adornment, shaitan adornment of the khamr, you have to have another waza, another power to push it. So he said, قال الله سبحانه وتعالى إنما الخمر والميسر والأنصاب والأزلام رجس من عمل الشيطان فاجتنبوه is impurity from the action of the shaitan فاجتنبوه. So when you read it, subhanAllah, it get out, those people, it get out like from their heart and be replaced by, subhanAllah, disliking and hating such an action. So this is into the subhanAllah, in the depth of making the law in the way of the Sharia. So you see, it's not like people, they think, law of Sharia, rules and rules. It's all, subhanAllah, hikmah and wisdom and depth and so profound, really studying and knowing all the depth of the nafs of the human being. Now, Al-Imam Malik, in his opinion and his fiqh, in his school of thought, he's not saying, for example, of the impurity of the animal al-khinzir. He said he's an animal. Eating it is haram. But ayn al-khinzir is not. So here, there is no weza, there's no one will have your poem talk to you about, the pig. I mean, looking at that animal, he has his mission in this universe. Allah created him for. But, I mean, what will someone drive to come and eat such a thing? So if Allah said it's haram, it's haram. It's haram. You don't need more roadblocks to get to that. So Imam Malik said, it is animal and then it's not najis. Some other scholars, they say, Aynul Khinzir, the Khinzir itself as an animal is najis. Not when you came to its meat. وقد صار من أمثال عامة إذا أرادوا نسبة قول أحد في ذم شيء يقول قال فيه ما قال مالك في الخمر. This is, I think, in page 210. He said, however, this was not an easy objective to achieve, owing to people's deep love of wine as a result of widespread glorification of his attraction, etc. This is the end of the page 210. طيب. قال and he quoting here hadith of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ليس لنا مثل السوء مثل السوء. We don't have the bad of example. The bad example is not for us. He who takes back his gift is like a dog that swallows back its vomit. It's not haram to take back your gift. But this is very bad action. So look the Sharia. The Prophet give you an example. You will not even think to get back your gift. You give someone a gift, and then he said, I want to get back my gift. You give someone, I don't know, a device, a book, said, I want to get it back. So the Prophet ﷺ give you an image. He said, the one who takes back his gift, like a dog that swallows back its vomit. That picture, you cannot even imagine it. I mean, when you imagine it, you feel gagging. So you don't even think to get back your gift. And this is how the wazi' ad-dini change into jibil. It becomes natural. It becomes in your mind, if you're going to give a gift, that's it. It ends there. You don't rethink about it. That's it. Or rethink it to take it back or things like that. Yeah. طيب. ولكن معظم الوصايا الشرعية منوط تنفيذها بالوازع الديني. Now this is the Jibili, but the majority of the Sharia laws are kind of invited to be implemented by al-wazi' ad-dini, by al-wazi' ad-dini. Depends on religious, spiritual self-restraint. For this reason, the execution and the implementation of the order and the commands of the Sharia was entrusted to the piety and the righteousness of the one who receiving the order. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts with Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. So He entrusted you to your iman to fulfill this action. Example, قال ولا يحل لهن أن يكتمن ما خلق. Those divorcee one, they are pregnant, but nobody knows that they are pregnant because there's no external appearance. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and it is prohibited for them to hide what they have in their wombs. And what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if they truly believe in Allah in the Day of Judgment. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He entrusted it to that drive, the power of the belief in the heart. This is what we call al-wazi' ad-din. Someone, for example, he's in a situation, he lost it, and you want him to quiet him down. He said, by Allah, stop. That was ad-din. You mention the name of Allah, make him hold him back, stop. So if you truly believe in Allah and the Messenger, go and make peace with this brother. Things like that. So you encourage him. You have him, subhanallah, to provoke him in a good way by al-wazi' ad-din, by the drive or a push or a boost that is into the belief, into the faith. Look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Baqarah about having to get married and everything, and He said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do not do the contract of marriage before the waiting period is ended. And He said, وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ فَاحْذَرُوهُ. And remember that Allah knows what you have inside. So be careful. And this is wazi' ad-din. Wazi' ad-din. Self-restrain you, because it's religious, spiritual. Now, this wazi', this drive, if it weakened, then the implementation of the Sharia is also becomes weak. People turn away from the Sharia. فمتى ضعف الوازع الدين في زمن أو قوم أو في أحوال يظن أن الدافع إلى مخالفة الشرع في مثلها أقوى على أكثر النفوس من الوازع الدين. So the moment that self-restraint, that drive, that power of the faith, of taqwa is reducing, is decreasing in a people or in given time or certain circumstances, therefore violating and opposing the way of the Sharia, it becomes more likely to happen. Here, then you move to al-wazi' al-sultani. he say in the end of page 211, however, when the religio-spiritual self-restraint weakens at a specific time or among a specific group of people or under certain circumstances in which it is believed that the motive driving human beings to violate the Sharia rules is stronger for most individuals than the religio-spiritual self-restraint, then state control is the next recourse. The power of the sovereignty, I mean of the governance, that it comes to the play now big role when the taqwa is loosened into the society. قال كما قال عثمان بن عفان, عثمان رضي الله تعالى عنه said, يزع الله بالسلطان ما لا يزع بالقرآن. يزع الله بالسلطان ما لا يزع بالقرآن. يزع الله بالسلطان ما لا يزع بالقرآن. Here 212 second line, God deters by the authority of the state what may not be restrained by exhortations of the Quran. There's people, if you recite for him the whole Quran, is not going to change him. If you bring him one cup, that's it. He's going to put his hand down, head down, and he follow. The other one, if you put him in a place behind 7 doors locked, he will be still observing piety and worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you tempt him and you bring him things, why? Because the waza here is very strong. قال ولذلك قال ابن عطية إن أوصياء زمانهم لا يقبل قولهم في رشد اليتامى حتى يرفعوا إثبات ذلك إلى القاضي. In the time of Ibn Atiyah, Ibn Atiyah, in which area? He lived in the 6th century, which is maybe the 13th century miladi. He said in that time the waza ad-dini was weak. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran concerning the orphan, فَإِنْ آنَسْتُم مِّنْهُمْ رُشْدًا فَادْفَعُوا إِلَيْهِمْ أَمْوَالَهُمْ. If you see that they come to the maturity, then give them their money. You know, the money who's like the guardian who has the money. قال إن أوصياء لا يقبل قولهم في رشد اليتامى. Then people, they say, oh, he's like, you know, he's at his maturity, so pay for him his money. So he said, because of the ways that people, they don't have that self-restraint coming from their faith. He said, then it started in his time to check the maturity of the orphan at the court. You know, to secure. So the Sultan, the authority, come to play the role to maintain the veneration of the law. As here, for example, قال ابن العربي المالكي لا تصدق المرأة في دعواها انقضاء عدتها في مدة أقل من 45 يوم. A woman cannot be accept her statement that her waiting period ended at 45 days. 45 days. Why? Because here can go to ضعف الديانة. If this person is known to have not that strong self-restraint, strong deen, taqwa. وكل ذلك وكل ذلك إلى أمانتهن إذ قال ولا يحل لهن أن يكتمن إن كنت يؤمن. وبقول ابن العربي جرت الفتوى والقضاء عند علماء كما نظمه صاحب العملية العامة. So even though they've been entrusted to say about their waiting period that finish or not, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and do not hide what you have in your wombs if you truly believe in Allah and the Day of Judgment. So He didn't say bring witnesses or things. But when in a situation, society, that, taqwa is not sensed among the people fully. So these people, they might, take it light. They might lie. So when someone comes and say, oh, my waiting period finished 45 days, you say, no, we don't believe you. Even though they weren't asked to check if she's saying the truth or not. If she say, I don't, that's it. See? So this is, subhanAllah, how the waza, because always the objective is to protect the law of the Sharia as the law of, of wisdom and of justice. Based on that, anyone that he's been entrusted an amana, this amana has been entrusted to him based on the deen. But if it believed that the deen in this person is decreasing, is weak, then we have to check and verify the amana by a higher authority, by the authority. كما قال مالك في جمع الأختين من ملك اليمين ملك اليمين قال إن السيد إذا تسر إحداهما حرمت عليه الأخرى وتحريمها موكول إلى أمانته. طيب. قال فإن أراد الانتقال من تلك الأخت إلى تسري الأخرى وجب عليه قبل ذلك أن تحرم عليه التي كانت سرية له بما تحرم به من بيع أو كتابة أو عتق أو تزويج. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it's haram to marry two sisters. Now, we're talking about in the society where they have servants, slaves. If someone has two servants, many, by the way, many people, they think, the Milk al-Yamin, the captives who live in a family, that the master, he can do, have a relation with them like free relation. Doesn't exist in the Sharia. That's a big lie forged against the Sharia. Wow. There's the woman who is like free, when they have a relation between them, need to be preceded by a contract of marriage. Well, if she's servant, they need to be what we call tasarri. So it's like a relationship, kind of marriage, but into between someone and his servant. Not in the level of parents, because she doesn't have parents, he owns her. But when it comes to that relation, this relation needs to be respected as a marriage, but in totally different context. So he doesn't have the right to be with any one of them, except if he had the intention in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have what we call tasarri. So he will keep her like some close to him as a wife, but in a context of servitude. If he wants to make tasarri, this relation with her sister, when they are free, he has to divorce the first one, the only way. And then, when he divorced the first one, she has to finish her waiting period so he can, because during the waiting period, her sister is still haram on him. When it came to the case of servitude, how they going to manage this? Because there's no divorce. Because she gonna be like, it's, he's a servant. So he said, they have to do the mahramiyya to stop it by freeing her, or, give away or do something. So you have to break this relation. She cannot be there with him. That's why he said, قال ببيع أو كتابة أو عتق أو تزويج, or she make her remarry or marry someone else, etc. So he can go to have a relation of tasarri, which is the kind of marriage, but in this context of servitude. So here the obligation to have him to do this action, because of the weakness of the deen, that he might do it without considering, he might have them both together when it's haram. So I said, if you want to have a relation of marriage in the context of servitude, what we call it tasarri, then you have to, first one becomes haram to you. He said, okay, now it's haram for me, I'm not gonna touch anymore. And then she said, you cannot do divorce here, because the divorce is in the context of a marriage. But this one here, there is no divorce. He's still it's like he's his own servant. So to make it haram, it have to have action. It's either she marry, or he free her, or she become a servant of someone else. So here the Qadi is not anymore entrusted to his own judgment or to his own saying. Why? Because there is no that waza ad-dini. Then he become here waza sultan. So the authority oblige him to do that. So the rights of the sister, or the rights, will be preserved and protected. And based on that, the scholars, the jurists, to protect the laws, where the trust, or where the Sharia entrusts to the individual the trust, when it's being thought, or people, the jurist or the scholar, or in that particular society, they believe that the waza, the drive, the spiritual drive, the religious drive is not strong enough for people to honor their trust, then the authority will come to play that role. As some of the example that we mentioned. قال, and in the Sharia we have texts who helping to lead and guide for this. قال, I will read, وفي نصوص الشريعة ما يسمح بذلك لأن معظم الخطاب القرآني في مثل هذه الأمور ورد بضمائر الجمع الصالحة لاعتبار التوزيع أو لاعتبار مخاطبة جماعة المسلمين. If you look at the text of the Sharia, Allah addressed, and the Prophet ﷺ addressed to the Muslims, to the believers. So when an action is not done, it's like the rest of the believers, they need to be sure that it's done correctly. So if someone deen is weak and he's not, fulfilling his trust, so the rest of the Muslims, they have to come through the way of the authority to correct him and keep that to be done in its way. And he given us an example. قال فنجعل هذا الأسلوب في الخطاب إيماء إلى إعداد الجماعة لإشراف على تلك الحقوق. So the whole Muslim, the whole group are responsible in protecting the rights of the people in the society. ولهذا أحدث عمر بن الخطاب ولاية الحسبة وجعلها غير ولاية القضاء. Umar ibn al-Khattab, he started a new organ into the governance system, into the government, called al-Hisbah. Al-Hisbah to not al-Qadha, not the jurisprudence, and not the court, or the system, the jurisdictional system. He add al-Hisbah to. Al-Hisbah to, its role is to protect the society from al-munkar. So the people who taking care of the enjoying good and forbid evil, it becomes an authority. Because some of the rights, you cannot bring them to the court. If you see evil start to spread in the society, how can you bring it to the court? Are you going to bring a whole, town or neighborhood? There's fahisha start to think. He said, who among them? How can you? So this is a wilaya, how to protect the society from the evil. قال واعلم أن الوازع الديني ملحوظ في جميع أحوال الاعتماد على نوعي الوازع. So know that the waza, the drive, which is spiritual or religious, is the one who's kind of the middle, or the one that he's the center of both waza. The natural disposition becomes, you have a drive like al-haya, like covering the awra, is really being, the root of it is dini. Also, the sultani, the authority, comes as a power to help the dini be implemented. So, in the end, al-waza, the power, the drive that is religious, is the center. That's why when you have a society full of pious people, you don't need the court. Umar ibn al-Khattab, after a year, he was al-Qadi, the jurist, and responsible of the Qadha in the time of Abu Bakr. After a year, he came back and he gave him the keys. He told him, are you declining a task and a mission I gave you? He said, لا يا خليفة رسول الله. He said, for a whole year nobody came. I didn't have any dispute. He said, everyone, when they have argument and they dispute, they solve it between each other. They don't bring it to the hakim. So he was jobless a whole year. Why? Because people are driven, their drive was al-waza' ad-dini, piety, sincerity. So when you have that piety, you have the trust at his high level, sincerity at high level, integrity at his high level. Brotherhood at his high level is someone hurt you, he goes like he didn't even get to his home, he feel like bad. I did this, may Allah forgive me. He ran back. Please, brother, forgive me, I didn't. The other one, before he get to his house, he said, maybe he wasn't in his mood. May Allah forgive him and forgive me. Maybe I did something bad, that's why I provoke him. And that is the taqwa. When you don't have that, you're going to bring police and different type of, investigator and police and jurists and coffers and things. All of that comes because there's no taqwa in the society. فنسأل الله العافية سبحانه وتعالى. قال والوازع الجبلي تمهيد للوازع الديني, and the natural drive that we have is kind of helping الوازع الديني to be established and empowered. فالمهم في نظر الشريعة هو الوازع الديني. As we said, the center is الوازع الديني اختياريا كان أم جبريا, ولذلك يجب على ولاة الأمور حراسة الوازع الديني من الإهمال. That's the responsibility of the leaders to be protecting this drive that is a religious drive. من الإهمال, to not be neglected. فإن خيف إهماله أو سوء استعماله وجب عليهم تنفيذه بالوازع السلطاني. When that is weakened into the self of the people, then the authority need to intervene to help, boost it and bring it back. When it is feared that it is neglected or misused, then the authority of the state must be invoked to strengthen it. Any question? Inshallah.